Jada Pinkett Smith, Vanity Fair Oscars After Party Video Analysis, Part 1. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm using more raw video footage to help you understand more about the behaviours about Jada Pinkett Smith and the dynamic that she has with other people, so you understand why she behaves in the way that she does, and to extend your knowledge more generally about narcissism in action. Many people find the use of video footage extremely helpful, enabling them to see the behaviours about which I talk in other videos so that they can understand precisely what is going on. Far too many people watch the behaviour of others, particularly where there's controversial behaviours that take place, and go to the wrong conclusion. This is a consequence of them not understanding human behaviours, and particularly that where a narcissist has been identified. Instead, they continue to put it down to such things as, oh, this person's just thirsty for attention. Or they have anger management issues. They're just a bitch. They're high maintenance. And unfortunately, such conclusions are misleading because they divert people away from what is actually occurring and causes them almost to dismiss it. It's important, therefore, to have an accurate breakdown, and that is what I provide you with in relation to the actions of those that I've identified as a narcissist. This has been done through considerable and extensive consideration of material and evidence in relation to Jada Pinkett Smith. To aid your understanding, I've taken some footage that follows the slap and examines the behaviour, a little of Will Smith and the other members of the Smith clan, but primarily Jada Pinkett Smith, following Will Smith's win and on their way to the Vanity Fair after party. The footage is from Sky News, and you'll hear in the course of it various observations being made by the presenter which aren't relevant to our assessment. So we're going to go to the footage, work our way through it, pausing it at appropriate points to enable me to unravel it for you. But as you do so, as you're watching, apply the knowledge that you've learned from me and see if you're able to pick up on the points that I pick up on, and you can gauge the level of understanding that you're gaining. So let's dive into the footage.
Very unexpected, we weren't.
We pause the footage immediately so that we can set the scene. There we see the entire Smith clan all together. Will at the centre, buoyant after his Oscar win for Best Actor. His son, Jaden, stood to the left of him, doing a good impression of a stick of rock. His other son, Trey, from his first marriage, stood there, beaming, drinking in the occasion. To his right, we see somebody from The Matrix. Oh, sorry, it's Willow. Before we get to somebody who has been in The Matrix. But Willow there, looking as if she's dressed as if she has come from auditioning for the next Matrix film. And then, of course, Jada Pinkett Smith, who has now got rid of the Godzilla outfit and has decided that she is going to wear gold. And she's, with that particular cloak, rocking the Obi-Wan Kenobi look, I would say, as she stands there. So they're all assembled together, having their photograph taken. Let's move the footage on and see what we learn.
The way that you deal with it, if you're Will Smith, come out and you just put a smile on and carry on with your night. We've certainly been trying to get hold of some of the celebrities that were there tonight and ask them what their thoughts were. Pretty much nobody has wanted to comment on what went on. Obviously, Will Smith is a...
Stopping the footage at 36 seconds, the answer is to whether her assertion of control by active withdrawal works. Yes, it does. Look, as Will Smith comes ambling back, the expression on his face putting one in mind of a little boy who's been told, "No cookies until Mama says so. You've got homework to do, you naughty boy." It demonstrates the extent of the control that's asserted over him, that she basically digs her heels in and he comes wandering back. His return provides her with fuel because he's responding to her and also signals to her unconsciously that she has control over him. Therefore, the threat to control posed by all attention being on him has been addressed and nullified by this simple act of not following him. She's made it essentially about her. Will comes along and puts his arm around her. That's positive fuel and signals again that he's under control. Now, as you've watched the footage, you could see the look on Jada Pinkett Smith's face. There's no smile. Her look is imperious, cold, arrogant, haughty as she surveys these people, looking at them almost as if to say, you really should be praising your own personal gods that you're able to look upon the vision that I am. You really ought to be giving thanks to the fact that you're allowed within 10 meters of a goddess such as I. Why is she looking at them in this way? She's at the Oscars. She's a successful actress. She's got millions in the bank. She is attractive. Why has she got this face on, as you might ask? Well, the man stood next to her holds the Oscar. He's in the limelight for both good and bad reasons. And therefore, what we're witnessing is a clash between her narcissism generating envy within her in order to motivate her to seek control over Smith. But it's clashing against her facade, which, because she operates one as the type of narcissist that she is, she's not able, for instance, to start punching Smith in the face or wagging a finger at him and berating him. The facade isn't letting that happen. But the facade is struggling to keep her in place. It's not her narcissism isn't compelling her to be all smiley with the rictus grin and waving at people and looking like she's interested and caring. Her narcissism is creating envy. Hence, we have the sour face and the haughtiness. The facade is trying to stop that going too far, and therefore we see this inherent tension between her need for control and the way that her narcissism is trying to get it, and the facade which is trying to ensure that she doesn't suddenly have a major apeshit meltdown in front of everybody. The result, haughty arrogance, which is entirely commensurate with the type of narcissist that she is, as her facade of superiority takes over, rather than a facade of being kind and empathic and enjoying herself. Her superiority, namely, I'm a beautiful actress with millions in the bank and you lot are just smelly photographers who should be bowing down before me. The threat to control posed by the adoration of Smith that's going on has to be dealt with. She can't do something directly, the facade is holding in that regard. There's no option for her to do so indirectly, and therefore what we see is her contempt for all around her, whilst in her head she thinks this should be about me. Look at them, licking up to him, calling out his name. It disgusts me. And the facade is struggling to keep that disgust off her face as it comes across as her haughty arrogance. So again, she's asserting control by going to the third assertion of control, guided by her narcissism, but her facade is really taking the strain here as a consequence of the envy that's being generated by her narcissism, because the narcissism must get that control. That's what matters more than anything else. The facade is important, but here is a good example of the two clashing against one another. And the facade just about holds because it goes to one of superiority rather than warmth, friendliness, and kindness. We will now examine more of the behaviours prior to the Vanity Fair after party to help you understand more about the dynamic. Join me in part 2.
Expecting Will Smith and his wife Jada to turn up on the red carpet, the whole family here posing for photographers, but here they are smiling, greeting press. Nobody is doing any interviews to talk about exactly what happened, but I suppose this is...
Stopping on 16 seconds. After some photographs have been taken, the family moves along to the next spot on the walkway. Notice, however, that Jada Pinkett Smith does not follow. She stays put. Why is this? Has her high heel got stuck in a grill? Perhaps she's trodden on some bubble gum that's occasioned her to be able to not move forward. Maybe she's suddenly become overcome with some paralysis caused by stage fright. What's actually going on? Of course, here, all of the focus is on Will Smith. First of all, he's just slapped the shit out of Chris Rock, so the accompanying press pack, as you can hear, are making a hell of a lot of noise, trying to get a response from Will Smith, perhaps wanting him to comment upon what has happened. So all attention is on Will as a consequence of that action. He's also just won an Oscar for Best Actor, doubling up on that attention. The press pack is invariably tertiary sources, but there'll be a lot of them, clicking away, pouring their fuel towards Will Smith. He doesn't need it, he's not a narcissist. What it means is, it's not going towards Jada Pinkett Smith, and her narcissism, her unconscious narcissism, does not like this. The fact that all that fuel is going to somebody who doesn't actually need it, and that nobody's really paying much attention to her, nobody's calling out her name, nobody's waving at her to try and get attention, that threatens her sense of control. And as you know, the narcissist is hypersensitive to any threat to control as a consequence of how the narcissist has been created. And therefore, that self-defense mechanism, which is the narcissism, has to kick in. And it needs her to regain that control. It first considers whether the first assertion of control, the direct assertion of control, is available to her. And, of course, she could flash her boobs to bring attention onto her, but her facade won't allow her to do that. She wouldn't behave in such a crass way at the Oscars after event. It could cause her to perhaps whip out top hat and cane and do a tap dance, but again, the facade management prevents that from happening. It could be, as Smith and the rest of the family move on, it causes her to call out to them, perhaps to say something to draw their attention, but again, it doesn't opt for that direct assertion of control. The narcissism unconsciously assesses that that's not the right option in the circumstances. She can't go to the indirect assertion of control by turning to somebody and saying, "Oh, look, he's done it again, he's left me," and the assistant goes, "Oh, he's so self-absorbed, that man," and therefore that coterie member issuing that agreement to Jada Pinkett Smith enables her narcissism to unconsciously gain that assertion of control over him. The indirect option of triangulation or smearing isn't there. Therefore, her narcissism shunts her very quickly to the third assertion of control, which is withdrawal, meaning she stops, like an obstinate puppy that sits down and won't go for walkies. She does not follow, and her narcissism selects the assertion of control by active withdrawal. There are two forms of withdrawal. Active withdrawal, which is where we don't follow you, walk away from you, ignore you in person, put the phone down on you, don't answer your text message, don't answer your email. And there is passive withdrawal, where the narcissist isn't actually involving themselves with you at that moment. They're somewhere else, and they stay in that position. So they don't reach out to you, they don't hoover, they don't ring you up, they don't send you a text message. Here is active withdrawal. Her narcissism has caused her not to continue to follow the family, and will have concocted in her mind a reason why that should be the case. So she stops on the walkway to assert that control. But does it work? Let's find out.